from the watch to the defendant's phone?
So the last heart rate recorded was at 17:23:52, so 23 minutes past 5 in the afternoon, with a heart rate of 57 beats per minute.
What was the average heart rate for the day for the defendant's phone?
There was a range of heart rates going between as low as, I believe, around 50 and as high as around 122. On average, it was around high 80s, early 90s.
And so at 5:23 p.m., the last recording of her heart rate was 57?
Correct.
And there aren't any further heart rates reported to the phone after that point, correct?
That's correct.
And what are some of the reasons why a watch would no longer be reporting a heart rate to the phone?
If the watch was taken off, if the watch was turned off.
If the battery died?
The battery was dead, yes.
Okay. You also mentioned flight climb data. What is that?
Flight climb is information which the Apple Health application stores every time it detects that you walk up a flight of stairs. So a flight of stairs would be considered either a 3-meter or 10-foot incline at over 16 steps. So the device has detected that both the altitude has changed by 10 feet and there were steps being walked at the same time.
So there's two factors being considered there: the steps that your watch monitors as you walk, and then the altitude. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is it? Is it GPS or something that's keeping track of your altitude?
The altitude is being monitored by a barometer or an altimeter, which is inside the device, just measuring for differences in air pressure.
And this information, the flight climb data, can that be monitored by both a watch and your phone if you have it on you?
It is. Both devices have got the barometers built in. Both devices can monitor flight climb events.
Can anything simulate or kind of fake out the watch or the phone into thinking that a flight of stairs is being climbed when it's not?
There are some circumstances where that can happen. They're typically quite rare, but it can happen.
Is an example of that being in a car and going up a hill?
Correct, yes. If there is movement which the device can mistake for steps at the same time as the incline is being driven, then that could accidentally record a flight climb.
But if a person's not in a car and is in their home, then it would be flights climbed, not hills being driven, correct?
Correct. If the person is in a house and there are flight climbs being recorded, then the only rational explanation is that the person was climbing stairs.
How is the data in terms of flight climb data, how is that data displayed? Or in the health data itself?
Within the application or within the forensic tool?
Within the forensic tool.
Okay. So within the forensic tool, we break down, or within Physical Analyzer, we break down the health data into hour segments. So for an hour, we may say that there are 3 flight climbs. And then it's up to the user to dig in a little further. They can select that 1 hour and then see how that activity breaks down over the hour. So you would see that there were 2 flight climbs that occurred 10 minutes after the hour, and then another flight climb occurred later on.
So showing you page 6 of your report here. The top box here, is that showing the general hour data where 3 flights have been climbed?
Correct. So in this case, the user is looking at a time period between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And the health data that's been pulled from the database has been aggregated. And it tells you that there's 98 samples being considered. The maximum heart rate during that hour-long period was 108. The distance traveled was approximately 759 meters. And there were 5 flights climbed within that hour.
And then below that, you break that down a little further, correct?
Correct. So this is further down the screen in the interface, where we can see actual time of 10:17:27, where there's 2 flights climbed, and again another record at 10:17:28, where there were 2 flights climbed, and then a further flight climb at 10:49.
And then going down to the bottom here, this table, what are we seeing here in this table?
So you may have realized in the slide above where there was 2 flight climbs at 17 seconds past and 2 flight climbs at 18 seconds past. That's an unrealistic measurement. It's because one of those measurements comes from the phone and one comes from the watch. This table breaks it down to say which of these records came from the watch and which came from the phone, because there are some which overlap.
So what you're saying is the prior table showed the 4 flights of stairs being climbed at the same time within seconds, which isn't rational. But this breaks it down to show some of that data is coming from the watch and some of it's coming from the phone, correct?
Correct. So if we look at records 4 and 5 here, for example, we can see a start time of 10:17:27 and an end time of 10:27:06, where the watch recorded 2 flight climbs, and then 1 second later a start time, and 2 seconds later for the end time, we see the watch also detected 2 flight climbs. This is just the same 2 flight climb events that happened, but both devices recorded those flight climbs with slightly different timestamps.
And that will happen if I'm wearing my watch and I have my phone in my pocket and I go up the stairs?
That's correct.
Did you do something to compare these times and make a table where where you ignored or disregarded the double entries?
I did. I tried to correlate and discard all of the duplicate information. So where there was an event of a flight climb that was recorded on the watch and the phone, rather than provide information that said there was 2 flight climbs, I would ignore one of them and limit it to just the ones which we could prove happened.
And that's displayed here in this chart at the bottom of page 7 of your report?
Correct.
Going to page 8 of your report, we have here at the top of page 8, does that show the last flight climb recorded on either the defendant's phone or watch?
It does. It shows that there was additional flight climb events logged by the phone, which were not logged by the watch, at 17:03 and 17:33.
So these records indicate that at 5:03 p.m., the defendant's iPhone was with the person as it went up the stairs, and then at 5:33 p.m., the iPhone was with the person as it went up the 2 flights of stairs.
Correct.
And there's a time difference there. The start time is 5:33 p.m., and the end time is 5:38 p.m. For 2 flights of stairs. So that's roughly 5 minutes in between the 2 flights. Is there a way to explain that length of time?
The way the Apple Health data records this information, aggregates it, it tries to group events together. So in this case, it would have recognized that there was a flight climb on the phone at around 17:33:34 and a second one at around 17:38:33, and it just grouped them both into one event. It doesn't mean that it took 5 minutes to walk up 2 flights of stairs. It's just within that 5-minute period, there were 2 flight climbs.
So if I have my phone in my pocket and I climb up a flight of stairs and then I spend a few minutes on that floor, and then still with my phone in my pocket go up another flight of stairs, that's representative of what we're seeing here at 5:33?
Correct. There tends to be around a 10-minute window where it tries to check every 10 minutes, but it can reduce that window in a case like this where it sees that there's group data within a smaller time period.
And then further down on page 8, we have another table here, which seems to have combined data of heart rate and flight climb data. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you also look at web usage on the extraction of the defendant's phone?
I did, yes.
And what did you do to look at the web usage on the phone, and what time frame did you look at?
For web usage, I expanded the time of interest to early January to the 24th of January, and just took a look at any web history over that time. There was over 1,300 records recovered. I took a cursory look down that list and highlighted some which potentially were relevant to the case, and then provided the 1,300 actual records as a appendix report.
And going to page 12 of your report, looks like you started here on January 10th, 2023, is that correct?
That's correct.
And basically here you list various searches that occurred on each day between January 10th and January 24th from the extraction, is that correct?
That's correct. Broken down by day with the time of the search, the website that was visited, the title of the web page, and then the identifier in the database.
And looking at these searches, on January 12th, 2023, at 19:48, so that would be 7:48 p.m., is that correct?
Correct.
There was a search. In the title it says, "How quickly does Wellbutrin work for depression?" Is that the title? Is that what the user is putting into the search?
If I could see the search, please.
I'll zoom in on that.
Yes, so the top entry here we can see starts with https www.google.com/search ?Q. The text after the Q, how quickly does Wellbutrin work, is what the user searched. Typically that is exactly as the user typed it, assuming that there are no auto-completions in place. In this particular case, it appears it was searched using Safari, so there's no auto-completion. That is essentially what the user typed in. And then the title, how quickly does Wellbutrin, I can't say that word, I'm afraid. Wellbutrin, thank you. Work for depression, Google search, is the title of the page which Google assigns.
So where it says after the Q, how plus, quickly plus, does plus, the user's not putting in those pluses, correct? Is that, what were you calling those?
So that's part of the attribute. It's how the data is encoded in a URL or in a web search. You can't have spaces within this address string, so they replace the spaces with the plus symbol.
So I type in how quickly does, and the computer adds the pluses in the space marks? Yes,
it's URL encoding to make it safe for the browser.
And then at 7:49, there's a search for Lamictal for depression.
Yes, and depression spelled with a B at the end instead of an N, which demonstrates that this is what the user typed in rather than a page that was being visited.
And then a few minutes later at 7:55 p.m., the user typed in Elavil for depression, correct?
Correct.
And then on page 16, on January 18th, 2023, at 10:25, we have a search there, ketamine for suicidal ideation, is that correct?
Correct.
And again, that's the user typing that in.
Yeah, again, those words were typed in by the user.
And then on January 19th, 2023, on page 17 of your report, we have symptoms of postpartum psychosis searched on January 19th.
Correct.
And again, so we're looking at, this is AM, correct? 9:24 AM that was searched?
Yes, the morning.
And then 9:30 AM, there's another search for psychosis symptoms?
Yes.
Going back to that same page, page 17, at the bottom for January 24th, we have here searches for Kids Miralax at 4:02 p.m. and Takeout 3V at 4:13 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then CVS Pharmacy at 4:47 p.m. Correct?
Correct.
There was also an Apple note that you found in the records, correct?
There was.
The Apple note, in your report, it says it was created on December 22nd, 2022 at 10:23 a.m. Strike that, and then modified at 10:23 a.m. on January 23rd, 2023, correct?
Correct.
And are you able to tell what in the note was modified?
No, there's no real auditable log to look back and see how many times it's been modified over the course of its life. I was able to do some amount of recovery to see that on the day it was created, it started in a very similar way to as it's written on the 24th or 23rd of January, but the exact changes between when it first was created and the last time it was modified, we don't know.
And then you also looked at messages, correct?
Correct.
And were you able to compile the messages that were sent and received between the defendant and her mother and the defendant and her husband on January 24th, 2023?
I did, yes.
And were you able to arrange it using the tools that you use in a way that looks like you might see it on your phone?
Yeah, I tried to prepare it in a report which would be easy for any viewer to understand based on their own usage of text messaging.
So showing you page 19 of your report, what we have here is an enlarged version of what you might see on your phone, correct?
Correct.
And so is this in blue, is this Lindsay's phone?
It is. The messages in blue on the right would be outgoing. The messages in grey on the left would be incoming.
And so we have a photo being sent out from Lindsay's phone to her mother, and then a reply coming back, and that pattern goes on and on, correct?
Correct.
And then looking at page 22, you were able to do the same in terms of her contact with Patrick Clancy that day, correct?
I did, yes.
And so in gray, we have Patrick Clancy sending a message to Lindsay Clancy, and in blue is the response, correct?
Correct.
Were you, excuse me, were you also able to look at the phone calls that occurred either incoming or outgoing to the defendant's phone on January 24th, 2023?
I did, yes.
And looking at page 27 and 28 of your report, first on page 27, just looking closely at the phone. Here in the report, it says 2024. Is that a typo? Is that supposed to be 2023?
That's meant to be 2023, yes, I apologize.
Okay. And so what we see here, can you just tell us what these columns are?
Yeah, the start time of the call, typically when it is answered by the recipient. The end time, when the call's ended. The metadata is information including who the call was to or from, how long the call lasted, and then the reason that the call disconnected, and then a record ID. So if you had the database, you could go in and find this record based on the ID number.
And looking at page 28, this is the continuation of that table regarding the phone calls, is that correct?
Correct.
And so what we're seeing here is at 17:33, which would be 5:33 p.m., there's an incoming call from Patrick to Lindsay's phone, is that correct?
Correct.
And it says duration 8 seconds, 0 seconds. Does that mean it was not answered?
In this case, it was an unanswered call.
And then at 5:34 p.m., roughly a minute later, there's an outgoing call from Lindsay's phone to Patrick's, correct?
Correct.
And that call was approximately 14 seconds?
Correct.
And then at 6:09 p.m., another incoming call from Patrick to Lindsay that went unanswered?
That's correct.
Now, you also, in a section you call media, you have some photographs that were taken from the phone with some metadata included, correct?
Correct.
What is metadata?
Metadata is information about that photograph. It could be the device that captured it, the time that it was captured, the location, information about the lens, the lighting, etc.
And so looking at page 29 of your report, just for an example, what we have here are 3 photographs, correct?
Correct.
And the metadata for the first one shows captured at South Shore Medical Center, is that correct?
Correct.
How were you able to determine that's where that photograph was taken?
The metadata of the photo included the latitude and longitude where the image was captured. I took that latitude and longitude and looked on Google Maps to see a physical address. In this case, it came down to the South Shore Medical Center.
And then the third photo here, that shows captured at the home address on Summer Street, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you looked at device usage. What is device usage?
Device usage would relate to how the user is operating the device. So when they have it unlocked, locked, what applications being used at any particular time. Essentially anything which is not a message or a phone call or results in additional data like that.
And looking at page 32 of your report, in that device usage log, it shows that the last time the device usage was logged was at 5:13 p.m., correct?
So this table relates just to the locking and the unlocking of the device. So the last time the device was unlocked was at 17:13:16. The device was locked again around 2 minutes later at 17:15:12, and the device was not unlocked again.
And so where the device was not unlocked again after 5:16 p.m., but we have a phone call being made at 5:34 p.m., how does that happen?
There is a setting within iPhones that allow you to use a locked device to call back numbers for missed calls. So in this case, Lindsay had the missed phone call. That would have shown on screen as a notification as a missed call. And without unlocking the device, you're able to call that person back.
So you just press on the the icon that shows up, you have a missed call, you press on that, and you can call the person back without unlocking the phone.
Correct.
And then what is application focus?
Application focus is literally the application which is visible on screen at any given time.
And at 4:13 p.m., 16:13, on January 24th, you've highlighted it in green here. What are we seeing there?
At 16:13:23 until 16:14:50, the Apple Maps application was being used, visible on screen.
Is it then used again at 5:13 and 5:14 p.m.? Or is that a different application?
So at 5:13 until 5:14, it was mobile Safari, so the mobile version of Safari, the internet browser, was on screen, and at 17:14:47 until 17:15:08, it was the mobile SMS or messaging application, which was on screen.
So do you just look at the part that's in parentheses to see what application was open or being used at the time?
Correct. What application was on screen at the time?
So for example, where it says 17:34, which would be 5:34 p.m., and in parentheses is in-call service, does that represent a phone call?
It does. That's the screen that indicates you're in a phone call.
And staying with the same page, page 34, you've made some notes here. Let's go out a little bit. Regarding Apple Maps, Safari, and messaging. So can you just explain what you pulled from the data for Apple Maps?
Yeah, Apple Maps was used to plan a route from the user's current location, the home address, to a restaurant called 3V.
And that was at 4:13 p.m.?
It was.
And then in terms of Safari, you have the last unlock at 5:13 p.m.?
Yes, so the last unlock of the device was used for the purposes of viewing Safari, where PDLX was searched using Google.
And then in terms of messaging, what did you pull from the data there?
At the same time, or in that same device usage, so the device was unlocked, Safari was used to search PDLX, and then the messaging application was opened to send a message to Patrick saying PDLX liquid stool softener.
And that was at 5:15 p.m.?
It was.
And then did you create a timeline combining all the data that we've talked about into one timeline?
I did, yes.
I'm going to the last page of your report, page 43. Is this the last page of the timeline?
It is, yes.
And in that page, can you explain what we're seeing here?
Yes, so the very first column is the timestamp. The next few columns, which show typically coloured, is related to the activity, which will become a little bit clearer in a moment. The row or the column in the centre explains what the record is. So if, for example, we look at the 17:13:16 record, we can see a U, which means the device was unlocked in pink. That unlock event lasted until 17:15:12. So hence that entire column is in pink and shows the relevant lock event.
So here we have 5:13 device unlock.
Yes.
5:15 device lock, and there's this column connecting them, correct?
Correct. And then any activity that happened during that unlock time is then shown within the rows between. So again, we see Safari open at 17:13:16. Safari was closed at 17:14:47. Messaging was opened at 17:14:47, While messages were open, there was an outgoing message sent for PDLX, then messaging was closed. Messaging was opened again, and messaging was closed prior to the device locking. So everything in the coloured columns tries to show all of the events that happened at the same time or during that parent event.
And what we have here at 5:33 p.m., we have the flight climb started, is that correct?
Correct.
And flight climb ended at 5:38, so
Yes.
that line again connecting them?
Correct. So 2 flight climbs occurred during that time period.
And in between when the flight climb started and the flight climb ended, you have the 2 calls, the incoming call that was missed from Patrick and then the outgoing call to Patrick, correct?
Correct.
So the first flight climbed had already been started. Someone had already started climbing up a flight of stairs when that first unanswered call happened, correct?
So flight climb started is how it's listed within the database and within the software. But it actually, the flight climb time is when the flight climb has been recognized by the device as the device has already climbed up those stairs. So even though it says flight climb started, that's technically the time that the flight climb or the first flight climb had ended.
So where it says 5:33:34 flight climb started, that actually indicates the person has gone up that first flight of stairs already.
Yes, that indicates the phone has now realized I'm 3 meters higher than I was the last time I checked. Therefore, a flight climb has already been completed at that point.
And then the calls happen, and then the phone realizes at 5:38 that another flight has been climbed.
Correct.
I would move to submit the report as the next exhibit.
No objection.
All right, that report may be admitted.
Is it 266?
I have nothing further.
All right. All right, so members of the jury, remember I said it might be a little stop and start here today. This is one of those stops. All right, so we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come right back and return for the cross-examination of this witness. Okay?
All rise, please, Your Excellency.
Jurors have exited the quorum. Court's in session.
All right, so the court will be in a short recess at this time. Thanks.
Court, all rise. This court is back in session. You may be seated.
Yeah. Counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
All rise, please. Jurors entering. Court is back in session. You may be seated.
For the purpose of the record, we return back to the Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties present, including 18 jurors.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Reddington?
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Whiffen, just a couple of things. One of the takeaways or question that I had is that you were talking about, in reference to the Apple Health data, it's fair to say that there's an issue as to the accuracy or reliability of the Apple Health data that you've actually done research on, right?
I've done research on it, yes.
Okay, and one of the things that you did is back about a year ago, June 28th of 2025, you did a blog article on Apple Health accuracy and reliability, and it talked about using a pitch, which I think is, you guys refer to like a football field or something?
It was a rugby field, but yes.
And then you had somebody put the watch in their right pocket, somebody with the left pocket, and then someone else held it in their hand, you measured it, and things of that nature, right?
Correct, it was 3 phones.
Some of the things were off a little bit, but basically you put that in your report and you were able to draw your conclusion as to the accuracy and reliability, as you say, of the Apple Health data, right?
Correct.
Now, if someone is wearing an Apple Watch, is that what records heart rate?
As the heart rate is on the watch, yes.
It is on the watch,
Yes.
okay. And the steps that the person takes, things of that nature, the movement, is that on the phone or would that be on the watch?
That's on both the watch and the phone.
Okay. Now, if you have an Apple Watch and you test it or you examine it, would you be able to determine what information was actually recorded by the watch while the person was wearing it?
Yes, the information that's recorded within the Apple Health database does specify whether the information comes from the watch, the phone, or from a different device.
Okay. And in this case, if I understand correctly, the Apple Watch stopped recording data at, is it 5:23?
It was around that time.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to give you your report. Feel free to just refresh your memory or look at it or whatever helps you out.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I just want to get the times down. I think you indicated that the watch stopped recording information at 5:23 p.m.
Yes, the last heart rate was 5:23:52.
52, okay. 5:23 and 52 seconds. And then I believe the phone and watch stopped recording at 5:38, was it?
The last usage of the, let me double check this, I believe the last usage of the phone to record flight climb data was at 5:38, yes.
All right, and after 5:38, it's pretty much blackout. There's no further information or recording, right?
Yes, not until like the phone was seized by police, I believe.
By the
but
police.
There's other activity, but appeared to be after the incident.
So the further activity would have been the following morning on the 25th of January, say around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning?
I ended my analysis on the 24th.
Okay. Well, so 5:23 p.m. the watch stops recording information. 5:38 p.m. both the watch and the phone stopped recording any information until the police picked up the phone apparently the following day, right?
Again, there would have been activity later on, but it wasn't usage, it wasn't health data. It would have been things like incoming calls, if
Okay,
there
so
were any.
when you went through the stair climbing and talked about the steps that were taken, the distance that was taken, that stopped at 5:38 p.m., right?
Correct.
Now, you don't know, when I say you, I mean as a witness, but also the police, whoever was wearing the watch, for example, if Lindsay's wearing the watch or carrying the phone, after 5:38, you don't know what was happening at 5:39.
Correct.
You don't know what was happening at 5:40, 5:45, right?
Correct.
Right up till 5:58, 6 o'clock p.m., right?
Purely the data on the device.
So it could have been, the phone could have been put down, the watch could have been put down, battery died, whatever those issues could be, and the person would still be going down the stairs, going up the stairs, going in the backyard, doing push-ups, whatever.
Correct.
You just don't know, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things, you're familiar with the concept of location data, right?
Correct.
And location data, one of the things you looked at or you're aware of would be from Lindsay's phone on August 23rd of 2022. Is that correct?
Apologies, August 23rd, 2022?
Yeah.
I didn't go back
Okay.
anywhere near that date.
You have tested and written blogs, though, on location information, right?
Correct.
You actually testified in the case of Commonwealth versus Victor Arrington in Suffolk Superior Court in Boston in support of the accuracy of this particular artifact or information, right?
Correct.
So you're a true believer that the phone does in fact record accurately significant locations on the iPhone, right?
It certainly can, yes.
All right. And are you aware, or if I was to approach you in your expertise, it's just a doctor. That's all. You were talking earlier about latitude, longitude, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just to, you're familiar with, for example, significant location visits on Lindsay's phone, August 23rd, 2022 at 9:34. Do you know what that says or what that means?
The created time
Yeah.
of 9:34 would be when the device decided that the device had visited this location enough to consider it a visit.
Okay. Do you know what that location is? If I suggest to you it's a doctor's office, would you be aware of that?
I don't recognize it from the coordinates.
Okay. Thank you. This here you're familiar with too as well, right? The geo data with the latitude and the longitude?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the fact that you can take the metadata off of the information on the cell phone, one of which would be latitude and longitude. You'd be able to determine, for example, that this would be the Lindsay Clancy home, correct?
Yes, correct.
You've seen this before, right?
It rings a bell, yes.
Okay. I'd offer this, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objections.
Okay, that may be admitted.
Thank you.
Exhibit 267.
All right, thank you.
Now, you have your report in front of you, right?
Yes.
And that's captioned Digital Forensic Report, and it's in evidence, so the jurors are going to be able to review it in its entirety, right?
Yes.
If I could direct your attention to page 11, I believe. Yeah, page 11. Okay?
Yes.
And just so the jurors are able to acclimate themselves to it, that would be this item here that you went through with the district attorney, right? As far as the searches, Google searches?
I have a different page 11.
Different page?
That looks like this page 12.
Oh, okay. Well, let me approach you with what is your digital forensic report, report number 1?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is this the same?
So this is a revision.
A revision?
The revision submitted in February that just had a different record highlighted.
Yeah, okay, so basically there's no big deal difference, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we can go by, you have the revised and I have the old. Can you look at January 10th on the Google search, for example?
I can.
You have it?
Yes, sir.
So looking at January 10th of 2023, just read along with me, and the jurors again would be able to look at this in the jury room. Prescription information at it says 14:55. What does that mean? 12:14 in the morning?
12:14 a.m. Yes.
All right, and then 19:11, which would be at 7:11 in the morning.
7:11 p.m.
Oh, p.m. Okay. Trazodone and Benadryl goes on about an hour later. Trazodone headache, Google search goes on. Trazodone and ibuprofen goes on. Trazodone and Tylenol goes on to 2032, which would be 8:32 p.m. Trazodone and Tylenol interactions, right?
Correct.
Fair to say that these are things that Lindsay Googled on her cell phone. That's what this document refers to, right?
Somebody used this cell phone to Google it, yes.
Oh, you don't know who was actually using it, but this is
Exactly.
Lindsay's cell phone.
Yes.
You're aware of that. If we jump ahead, looking at all of these various Google searches, follow with me on, let's say, randomly, let's say, page 13, 1948, which would be 17:48 p.m., I guess. You with me on that?
Yes, 1948?
Yeah.
Yes.
How quickly does Wellbutrin work for depression? That's what was Googled, right?
Correct.
Followed by Lamictal for depression, Elavil for depression, how to tell if you're sleep deprived, ketamine for suicidal ideation, right?
Correct.
These are all searches that were done on Lindsay's cell phone. On that particular date, chronologically, would have been the 12th of January, right?
Correct.
Now, without boring everybody, it goes on and on and on with searches along those lines. Suicidal ideation, drugs, trazodone, mixtures, things of that nature, right?
It does.
Page 17, if you have it, would be the Apple Note counsel asked you about.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I suggest to you, sir, that this is the Apple Note, I believe a previous witness may have read this to the jury, so they will have this in the room to read. But basically, this is the note that says, I was the healthiest, happiest mom. I worked out every morning, meditated, took care of myself, and basically my life has turned to crap, right?
Correct.
So what was modified in this? If you know, because counsel asked you if there was modifications and things of that nature, and I'm just asking if you know, what was modified in it?
Exactly at the moment, I don't have all of that in front of me. It's possible to see snippets going back over time. I do recall on the 22nd of December when this was created, it started with the same sentence.
Yep.
And there was a few essentially spelling differences as time went on. But as much as you can recover from the earlier versions of the note, it's a snippet. It's essentially two sentences,
Basically
and the rest of it is it's essentially the same note.
Okay, thank you, sir. Going forward onto page 18, page 19, and 20, would you agree with me that, well, actually, in 21, they basically contain photographs that were sent from Lindsay's phone to, it looks like Patrick's phone. Would you agree with that?
I believe the first few pages are sent to Mommy.
Okay. And this basically is the, there we go. This is the snowman in the backyard being made, right?
Correct.
And then Lindsay's phone is sending the blue.
Yes, the
and
blue
gray
messages
would
are
be
outgoing.
what? A response?
Yes.
And can you tell me what the response is?
The one on screen at the moment is the response sent from Mommy to Lindsay's phone saying that's a big roll of snow. I was wondering if you got enough for the kids to play in, and it's a pretty nice day too, gives them something to do on a day without school.
Okay. And then your report then goes on with additional photographs of the snowmen. There's a box of Cheerios apparently. And then there's a photograph of a young boy appearing to be very exuberant with his arms up in the air. And then there's the Lindsay phone responds with a picture of a little girl with a mask on, right?
Correct. And this is a conversation with Patrick.
Patrick, okay. So are you able to tell what Patrick said, if anything, when he sent the picture of the little boy with his arms up in the air?
So at the very top of that message above the photograph, it says, got himself dressed. And that would be the message that was sent alongside the photograph.
Okay. And then what was her response?
Initially, it was just the photograph.
Did she respond any further in your report or your research?
Sorry?
Did you see any response in your research of the phone?
I don't remember seeing any response.
All right. Can you look at page 22?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be on January 24th, 2023. And it looks, what time is that? 8:19 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. So if I suggest to you, Sarah, you can even look in your report. This is in the same thread with the little girl making the snowman and the text about, it looks like a nice day, hoping you got snow, things of that nature. And there was a reference by the mother or mommy to get the hot chocolate ready, things of that nature, right?
The message at 8:19 a.m. that says cutie was sent by Patrick in
Okay.
a different thread to the snowman photographs.
Okay, but I'm asking you about the one that's underneath the snowman and the mummy text. The last commentary is get the hot chocolate ready.
Oh, yes, that's the one
Okay.
from...
And that's from the mother, apparently, right?
Correct.
Or someone that is in the phone as mummy, right?
And that was at 11:33 a.m.
Now, if you look on page 22, we can get to what you were talking about. It looks like January 24th at 8:19 in the morning, cell phone number 781-375-8564. And what does that say?
Cutie.
And that, so just tell us, so is that Patrick's phone?
Yes, that would be the phone stored as Patrick sending a message to Lindsay's phone.
And how did Lindsay respond, or how did her phone respond?
It appears that Lindsay reacted to an image with the love emoji.
Like a little hat thing?
Yes.
And then what did Patrick say?
Patrick asked, how's it going?
What did she say?
Good.
And then did she say anything further?
Yet she also responded, okay, her urine looked good, so nothing going wrong with her kidneys, a few.
So that she indicates that her urine looked good, nothing going on with her kidneys, and then phew, like whew, you know, something like that, right?
That's how I read it.
P-H-E-W? Yeah.
Yes.
And then he said good, right?
Yes.
And then as you go forward, there's more pictures of the kids with the snowman, making the snowman. Patrick then says to her at 11, looks like 11:29, am I reading that right, in the morning?
11:29 talks.
What does he say to her?
You're a good mama.
And does she respond?
She responds with an emoji, which is the face covered in hearts.
The face with the hearts? And then they go back and forth with each other up until getting the menu and asking what you want for takeout and things of that nature, right?
Correct.
Page 25, just in case you were looking. All right. Can you look at page 28 for me? And page 29, I can hold them up. Basically, they basically are just a continuation of photographs, little thumbnails of the kids doing snowman and sitting in the doctor's office, right?
Correct.
Okay. One of the things that you did is that you actually performed a comprehensive search. Is that a full focus extraction? Is that what you call it?
Full file system extraction.
Okay. And you did that for the phone belonging to Lindsay Clancy, right?
Correct.
That would be what you refer to as your appendix?
The appendix 1 of the Lindsay Clancy phone is 1,300 and some web search visits.
Okay. So I'm going to hand you what says report number 1, iPhone belonging to Lindsay Clancy, and ask if you can recognize that.
Yes, this appears to be the just the web history from Lindsay's phone.
Okay, so that's pretty much if anybody cares to look at it, that's the entire web history, right?
Correct.
All right, I'd offer this, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
268.
Then, Mr. Whiffen, you also had report number 4, which would be the digital record for Patrick Clancy's
I did.
computer. I'd offer that, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted as well.
269.
All right, thank you.
And then finally, report number 5 says Surface Pro laptop belonging to Patrick Clancy.
Yes.
So this would be your search of his laptop as well, correct?
Correct.
So I'd offer this.
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
270.
Approaching you with an item, sir, I'm just going to... Well, I'm just going to ask it. I'm not going to introduce it. No problem. This says extraction report, Apple iPhone. You recognize that?
Yes, I didn't create it, but I recognize the report.
Okay, so that is a Celebrate report of the extraction of Lindsay's phone, correct?
May I
Yeah, you can
finish?
look at whatever you want, yeah, of course.
Yes, this is a report generated by Physical Analyzer, a Celebrate tool of the device.
Okay. Now, if you look at the report, for example, just randomly on page, let's say, 9, bottom line, it says web history. I just grabbed that random. January 24th, 23, correct?
Yes.
And then you go to the right, and it says Lindsay's iPhone mobile library.
Yes.
Okay. And then it has the time that it was recorded, right?
Yes.
And what time would that be? On that date, which is January 24th.
It would be 9:55 local time in the morning.
So if you jump ahead to January 25, 2023, let's say, is that 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. And that says, what is it measuring at 7 o'clock in the morning on January 25?
So this is for the hour of health data. So it's been aggregated and it shows that between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. There was 47 meters traveled.
Okay. And then it goes on and it talks about, again, 7 o'clock in some seconds, it talks about 134 distance traveled.
Yes.
Okay. And, for example, January 25 at 8 o'clock in the morning, it talks about distance traveled, steps counted, and distance would be 47
Yes.
meters or feet.
Meters.
Okay. So is that information that is coming off of the cell phone, the Apple Watch, or what?
That's coming from the watch and the phone and being displayed
Right,
as
so-
one amount of information.
It's coming from the watch, right?
The way that the data is presented there, it's coming from the watch or the phone.
Okay. And the data's coming from Celebrate, right?
Correct.
And Celebrate is God's gift to cell phone searches, right?
I like to think so.
I mean, you work for them, and you're also a guy that created all of this stuff for them, pretty much, right?
I've created some other tools, yes.
If I tell you, sir, that January 25 at 8 o'clock in the morning, Lindsay Clancy was in a coma, laying in a bed with tubes coming out of her body and certainly not wearing her Apple Watch. How did that happen?
Based purely on the report there, I'd suggest the data came from the phone rather than the watch.
I just told you about the watch. Did you ever look at this watch?
No, we can't actually pull data directly from the watch. We pull it from the phone.
How do you look at a watch?
We extract the data from the phone, which is synchronized to from the watch to the phone.
Okay, so I'm handing you, is that an Apple Watch?
It appears to be, yes.
Okay. And if I suggest to you that this was found a number of days later in Lindsay's bedroom in a drawer that the police never seized, have you ever seen this before?
I've never seen this before, no.
How long have you been working on this case for the government?
I started looking at this case in November last year.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
All right, redirect.
Thank you. Sir, from the documents that defense counsel just showed you, the activity on January 25th, was it your testimony that it could have been from the watch or the phone?
It could have been either device.
But what he showed you, did that have enough data on it to tell you specifically whether it was from the watch or the phone?
No, I'd need to take a look at the database itself and see where that information came from.
And you were saying that you cannot pull data from the watch itself, is that correct?
Correct. We don't extract the memory from the watch itself. We extract data from the phone, which is synchronized to the watch. So we ultimately get the watch data from the phone.
And why is it that you don't pull it from the watch itself?
Apple's proprietary connections, the encryption that they use on the device complicates extraction. And essentially, considering we get everything from the watch via the phone, it's just additional work required to pull data from the watch, which would just be a duplicate of what we already have.
And you said that the watch syncs itself to the phone, relaying all data that it's collecting to the phone, correct?
Correct.
And Lindsay's watch was synced to Lindsay's phone, correct?
It was.
And if you were able to look at the data from the dates defense counsel mentioned from the extraction itself, you would be able to tell whether the January 25th data was coming from the watch or the phone, correct?
I would, yes.
But you can't from what he showed you, correct?
From the printout, no. I'd need the actual data.
And if on January 25th the police have the phone, and they're bringing it to an evidence room, and then they're bringing it to storage room, is that going to show steps and distance traveled?
Yeah, whenever the device is turned on, or whenever the phone is turned on, it will consistently record steps walked regardless of who's carrying it. It will consistently record flights climbed regardless of who's carrying it.
And so if the watch is turned off in a drawer somewhere, the phone would be what's relaying, or not relaying, but the phone would be what's recording the distance traveled and the steps taken, not the watch, correct?
That's the presumption, yeah. If the watch is turned off, it's not doing anything, any data would be from the phone.
And earlier, defense counsel just put in some exhibits of your indexes for all the data that you looked at for the phone and the computers, correct?
Correct.
And those indexes, do they contain everything that was on the phone and everything that was on each computer that could be pulled from the phone or the computer?
No, they were focused reports or focused searches. So for my reports, they were focused to essentially the internet history on those devices. The large Cellbrite report, again, I don't know who created that. I don't know what options were selected by that user, but there will be data on the device which is not covered in that report by virtue of that's how decoding works.
And on the defense counsel asked you about the flights climbed and how the last reading was at 5:38 p.m., correct?
Correct.
The last incoming phone call that you registered on your charts was the 6:09 p.m. phone call from Patrick to Lindsay that she did not answer, correct?
Correct.
From 5:38 p.m. to 6:09 p.m., were there any other flights climbed showing from either the watch or the phone?
Don't believe there was, no.
And Your Honor, we'd move to submit the full extraction as the next exhibit. It's being copied now, so we just put a disc envelope in its place.
There are no objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
If I may, Your Honor, so you make reference to 5:38 for her question that there's no flights climbed, recorded, or anything up until 6 o'clock, right? You just answered that question?
Correct.
That's because the phone was either dead, off, we already went through that. She could have been walking all over the house, the yard, anywhere, right?
Yeah, the phone did not detect anything. I don't know why the phone didn't detect anything, whether it was.
So your answer is you
Set
don't know
down.
what, I don't mean to be rude, your answer is you don't know why, right?
Exactly. I don't know why it wouldn't
Okay.
record.
And you did not report at all on the steps and distances, did you?
I didn't know.
Okay, thank you.
Anything on that, Como?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. You may sit down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Como Fress. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. There are some exhibits. My mistake. I believe they're by agreement,
Yeah, they were, I agree.
All right,
and then we would rest.
all right.
We have the Tewksbury Hospital records, 2 discs.
272A, B.
Mass General Institute Health Professions transcript.
Exhibit 273.
Quinnipiac transcript.
What was that?
Quinnipiac transcript.
274.
And then employment records from Mass General Hospital.
275.
We rest.
All right, and with that, the Commonwealth rests? All right, all right, so, members of the jury, as you heard from Attorney Sprague, the Commonwealth has rested. All right, so at this point, I've got to address some matters with the attorneys. So I'm gonna, it's another one of those stops, we're gonna take a stop at this point, have you go back to the jury room, we'll address a few things with the attorneys, and then we'll bring you right back in, okay?
All rise, please, for your section.
Jurors have exited the courtroom. This court's in session. Please be seated.
Before we do the motion for required finding, Your Honor, is this a good time to take a morning break?
Sure, do you want to take a short break?
Looking something up, that's all, I
All right,
apologize.
so the court will be in a short recess, and we'll come back without the jury, we'll address the motion, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, thank you.
Court, all rise.
Purpose of the record, we return back to the file of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present, excluding the jury.
All right. So the Commonwealth having rested, Mr. Reddington, does the defendant have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, I passed it up to the court. I don't know if you have it in front of you. It's basically a Rule 25. It doesn't have any memoranda with it, but I would argue, and I would cite to the court the case that was decided of Commonwealth versus Brunette Silvera. It's BRUNETTE-SELVEIRA. It was decided towards the end of May of 26 by the appeals court in Massachusetts. It was a case out of the Boston Municipal Court where the defendant was charged with assault and battery on a police officer. The evidence was presented that the defendant was acting erratically and that there was an awful lot of evidence that indicated that, brought out on cross-examination from witnesses, that the defendant was suffering from some type of a mental illness. Based on that evidence being presented, the government rested their case, just as they've done here. My suggestion to the court is that the evidence that's been presented on this case against Ms. Clancy I would suggest does not rise to the level under Rule 25 of where even if you take the Lattimore standard and determine that the evidence would be decided in the light most favorable to the government at this stage of the case, I think the Brunette-Silvera case places, as they describe it, a negative obligation to prove a negative as part of their case in chief on the government. I suggest to Your Honor that the evidence that has been presented in this case is overwhelming, that this young woman was clearly and unequivocally suffering from a mental disease or defect, that it was occupying her waking hours, her life, that she considered all of her avenues. She attempted to go to these health care providers, using the term loosely, that she went to these people. She had medication after medication after medication. She was obviously acting, I suggest to the court, in a state that was observed by witnesses that, in fact, that she was suffering from mental disease or defect, and then ultimately this horrific incident. So under that Brunette-Silvera case, there's no evidence, I suggest, from the government that would rebut the fact that there is evidence of lack of criminal responsibility. So under Brunette-Silvera and the cases that were cited in that opinion, respectfully, I would suggest that a required finding of not guilty should be entered on the case. I also would argue to the court that I think that under the Brunette-Silvera standard and the evidence that Your Honor has before you, that the matter should be reduced down, if you will, from premeditated malice and forethought and cruelty and atrocity to second degree. I'm not arguing at this stage Commonwealth versus Gray or any of its progeny as to manslaughter, but I think the court, certainly in its wise exercise of discretion, has the ability and the right to reduce the charge to second-degree murder or enter a required finding.
All right, counsel, thank you. Commonwealth.
Thank you, Your Honor. The case that defense counsel cited, there was a presentation of the Commonwealth's evidence. Commonwealth rested. Defense called an expert who said that the defendant was not criminally responsible, and the Commonwealth relied on a cross-examination of that witness and did not call any further witnesses. So the motion was filed for a required finding at the close of all of the evidence, which is what's required under Commonwealth versus Lawson, which Brunette-Silva cites and is still good law. An SJC case, 475 Mass 806 from 2016, in which the court says that a motion for a required finding of not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility may only be brought at the close of all of the evidence, not at the close of the Commonwealth's case. In this case, as you're aware, defense plans on presenting experts who testified that the defendant was not criminally responsible, and then the Commonwealth will have a rebuttal case with their own experts. So I think the time and place for the motion would be at the close of all of the evidence and not now.
All right. Well, I had an opportunity to take a look at Brunette-Silvera. So based on that and based on the standard as described that I have to apply at this point, I'm going to deny the defendant's motion.
I don't think I have to object, but I will.
All right. As we say, duly noted.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Your Honor, could I inquire? Emily Thorndike is here and has been here. I'm just wondering, is the government ready for us to do the voir dire to see if she can testify? Because she is self-employed, she has patients, and has canceled them day after day. I'm just inquiring if we're ready to go on that.
All right. So the question I think that we had put this over was in large part because of the records from McLean's. We know if those are in?
I've been inquiring with Madam Clerk if there's been any status from the clerk's office, and I've told they haven't received anything. We have a call over to McLean. They've acknowledged the receipt. They were waiting for a call back from somebody at the office. They thought that the records were produced on Friday, but clearly that wasn't the case. So we have a call. We're waiting for a return call. I've provided people in my office the Madam Clerk's email address to get it expedited as quick as possible. So we are working to try to resolve the issue, and the hospital has acknowledged they received the subpoena. We just don't have a response yet. And I would just also remind that we discussed this last week and talked about doing this tomorrow on Tuesday in order to get those records and have time for everybody to get them and review them so that a proper examination of the witness can be done in a voir dire.
So,
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's do this before we start going at each other. We'll see if the records come in. All right. The records come in, then we got to determine how long it takes for people to review it and get ready. So if we can do that this afternoon,
okay. All
great.
right.
If we can't, I'll hear from the parties as to why we can't. We may have to do it tomorrow. But if we can do that today, I do understand that witness has been here a number of days. But at this point, it's a question of the records coming in, which really is out of both parties' hands. So if the records are in, the parties can get ready. We'll do that voir dire. If not, we may have to do that tomorrow. Okay? All right.
Understood.
Ms. Reddington?
Ready? Ready for the jury, Judge?
Yeah.
All rise, please. Jurors entering. Court is back in session. You may be seated.
For the purpose of the record, I return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy, all parties present, including the defendant and including the 18 jurors.
All right. So members of the jury, as I indicated before, the Commonwealth is rested. All right. So at this time, I'm going to inquire of the defendant if she intends or wishes to call any witnesses at this time. Mr. Reddington?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. David Camp, please. I believe she's right outside.
do solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the
Hi, good afternoon. I'm going to ask you if you could keep your voice up and speak into that microphone. Okay? Thank you.
I just
Very
want to say
good.
the same thing, so make sure that all the jurors way down here even can hear you, okay?
Okay.
Tell us your name,
This is Margaret Hamp,
and what town do you live in?
Stoneham.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a labor and delivery nurse
Where?
at Mass General.
And how long have you been working as a labor and delivery nurse?
I started on our labor and delivery unit in 2012.
Okay, so about, what, 24 years? No.
I started for the obstetrics department in 2006.
Okay, so 20 years you've been working for Mass General between obstetrics and labor and delivery, right?
Correct.
Do you know Lindsay?
I do.
How do you know her?
I was working on the labor floor when Lindsay first started with us.
So this would be the labor and delivery floor, and she started as a nurse, correct?
Correct.
You had already been working there?
Correct.
And she was about, what, 24 years old?
Roughly.
And came in as a young woman as a nurse, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us, to your let me ask you this, how many years did you work with her?
She started, I believe, in 2015, and I worked until 2002 when she went out with Callan.
About 7 years or thereabouts. Did you know that she had a child, Cora?
Yes.
And did you know that she had a child, Dawson?
Yes.
And ultimately that she had a child, a baby that was born very, very recently, Callan?
Mm-hmm.
In the years that you were working with her, were you able to observe, I mean, did she like being a nurse? Did she want to work, or was she a good nurse? What's your opinion?
Lindsay loved being a nurse. She was really good at being a nurse. She was compassionate. She was kind. She was a patient advocate. She was the type of nurse that you wanted taking care of you or your loved one when you walked onto our unit.
Did you observe, for example, that on occasion when she would be involved with the delivery of a baby that she would become emotional?
Lindsay was often emotional during birth of complete strangers. She would cry and she would just say that was so beautiful. You could just tell that she really loved being in that setting.
Over those years, right up until the time of Callan being born, fair to say that you stayed friendly with her?
Yes.
And you're still friendly with her?
Yes.
Can you tell us, did you observe during the time you worked with her how she emoted or felt about her children, all three of them?
Yes.
Tell us anything that you recall.
So Lindsay and I worked the night shift together, and often on the night shift you get to have an opportunity to really get to know your coworkers and celebrate things that are happening in their lives or support them with things that are not going so well. Lindsay asked a lot of questions of her coworkers about parenting. Simple things as she would poll the nursing staff about monogrammed lunch boxes, right down to sleeping habits. What questions do you ask a daycare provider to make sure that you're in the right place? She was often asking her coworkers childcare, parenting tips.
When she had Callan, after Callan was born in the late spring of 22, did you see her after the birth of Callan?
I did not see her after the birth of Callan.
Were you aware that she had taken a leave of absence from Mass General?
Yes.
Did you stay in touch with her by phone or text?
I briefly kept in touch through text. After Callan was born, I reached out to her and I asked her for her address and how she was doing so I could send her a gift. And then a few months later, she circled back to me to thank me for the gift that I had sent her.
Do you recall an incident on one occasion where she was looking or monitoring one of the children and the child was crying and you observed what happened after that?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Lindsay often checked in on her kids while they were sleeping at night. Again, we worked the night shift, and she had the ability to look at her phone and see what Cora or Callan were doing in their cribs, and she shared that with a lot of us. There was one particular night that Cora was crying. She was probably about 6 months old, and Lindsay never let Cora cry. She wasn't at that point in parenting, and she was very communicative about that. And Cora was crying on the monitor. It was the middle of the night, and maybe after 10 minutes, she started to call Pat, and he wasn't answering. And she got really worried that one, Cora was crying, but now Pat wasn't answering his phone. So in the middle of the night, she called the police to do a wellness check on her family.
Okay. And while you were working the night shift, is that pretty much what you both worked together all those years?
Yes.
Would that be through the pandemic as well?
Yes.
Would you say that that was quite a bonding experience, being in labor delivery up close and personal with patients during the pandemic at night?
Of course, it was a very challenging time as a healthcare provider.
Thank you very much. You can inquire.
All right, Como?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the incident that you just told us about where Ms. Clancy was watching the monitor overnight, you were aware that the police responded and everything was fine, right?
Yes.
And you worked with her through 2022 when she went out with leave on Callan?
Correct.
And you never visited their house after Callan was born, did you?
No.
You don't know what was going on in her life, did you?
No.
And she didn't share any of her struggles with you via text or in any other capacity, did she?
No.
And as a labor and delivery nurse, and having been trained in labor and delivery, and you said you worked obstetrics before, correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that you often have patients that come to you in both those areas that have some mental illness or are on psychiatric medications, right?
Sometimes.
And working labor and delivery, you have some training on how to handle patients that are on certain types of medications, right?
Limited training, yes.
Well, it affects how you're going to go through a birth plan or do a delivery if a person is on some sort of long-term medication, right?
Right.
And so you're aware that Zoloft is something that's deemed safe for pregnant moms and breastfeeding moms?
Yes.
And you've had patients that have dealt with bipolar issues before?
Yes.
And that they have to remain medication compliant in order to manage those things, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Barrington?
So your experience dealing with patients that have birthed a child, as the district attorney asked, and are on Zoloft and expressing issues of being a parent, were you aware of any incidents where Lindsay was with you and a woman did in fact express concern that she wanted to hurt herself or her child?
There was a particular patient that Lindsay was on staff when this patient arrived. It was a patient that arrived to the unit that had plans to harm herself while she was pregnant. And we had a conversation. Lindsay was brand new. It was the summer that she had just started. And we had a conversation about mental health in pregnancy and postpartum. And I asked her if she had ever heard of the Andrea Yates case, and she hadn't. And I explained that to her, and she cried. And she said, "How could a mother hurt her children?"
Thank you. All set.
Thank you.
Como?
No.
All right, let me sit down, thank you. Counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Orzica, please. Orzica, O-S-D-G-A.
solemnly swear that the testimony will be evidence you shall give to the court. You're welcome, and kind of about you. Thank you. You might take a seat.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
I'm going to ask you, speak into that microphone, keep your voice up, okay?
Okay.
Great, thank you. Counsel.
Thank you, Judge. Afternoon. Tell us your name, please, and spell it.
It's Allison Ozga, Allison. Last name is Ozga.
You know Lindsay?
I do.
How do you know her?
Lindsay is my sister.
And can you tell us, are you close to Lindsay? Do you live near each other? Do you socialize? What type of relationship have you had with her?
We're very close. We have not lived in the same state for about 10 years now, but we do communicate, and I do think we're very close.
And do you text with her on a regular basis?
Yes,
And you talk on the phone, do you?
occasionally.
Directing your attention to the fall of, well, actually heading into like Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2022. Do you remember that time frame?
Yes.
And did you have occasion to see your sister during that period of time?
Yes.
And let's direct our attention to, let's say, Thanksgiving 2022. Had you noticed any change in Lindsay's personality or any observation of how she appeared to you?
I will say on Thanksgiving in particular is when the first time I saw her in person after quite some time. I had known she had not been doing well via text message communication that we had. I think on Thanksgiving, she, her mood did not look good, her energy, she didn't seem very energized. It definitely seemed off from how I've seen her in the past.
And were you aware that that carried through from November into December, around the holiday season, if you had stayed in touch with her?
Yes.
And can you tell us what you observed about her around the holiday season as it related to her, from your observations and your texting and your communications with Lindsay? How did she appear to you at that point?
The beginning of December, it seemed like she very much decompensated. I do remember her saying at one point at the beginning of December, something along the lines of, I'm in a really tough spot. And knowing what she had shared with me previously about how her mental health had been struggling, I had this gut feeling that something was off and that she was really struggling, and I asked her if she was safe.
What did she say?
She said yes at that point.
And you knew her husband, Pat?
Yes.
And you knew the kids?
Yes.
Obviously. Do you recall around Christmas itself, and perhaps a little bit thereafter, that you spoke with her and that she indicated, basically, I'm not doing okay?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what you observed about her demeanor or her symptomology when you said she was decompensating around that time? What were they symptoms in your mind of?
Based on communication with Lindsay, and I started communicating with Pat directly at that time, she was reporting her mood was worsening, as she described as depression. She was having more suicidal thoughts. Insomnia continued to be an issue. She was really not feeling like herself.
And did you know that during that period of time where she was telling you about the suicidal thoughts and the issue of depression, that she was seeing doctors?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about seeing the doctors, and if she was on any medication, and if so, what effect did they have on her?
So the first thing she said about the doctors was back in October when she said that she saw a doctor for Zoloft and had a very awful reaction to that Zoloft.
Would that be Dr. Tufts?
I don't believe she shared that specific with me.
Didn't share the name? Okay.
No. And then I think throughout our communication over the couple months of October to December, she did share with me that she was going to doctors, she was getting different prescriptions, kind of all the things that they were trying and different treatments they were looking at.
And do you recall when you were talking with her about her symptoms towards the end of December that she had, in your words, decompensated significantly and stated to you that she felt nothing and that she was scared, things of that nature?
Yes.
What else did she tell you, if you recall?
At the end of December, so I think it was more along the same of, that she is really not feeling well. Her mood is down. She's feeling numb. She's feeling hopeless. I believe at the very end of the month, she told me she had had suicidal ideation every day for a month.
Do you recall towards the end of the month around New Year's that she voluntarily admitted herself somewhere?
Yes.
Do you know where she admitted herself?
McLean Hospital.
And while she was at McLean Hospital, ultimately, do you know how she got out of McLean Hospital?
It was my understanding that she was weaning off of some medication that she was on, and then was eventually discharged 5 days later.
Now, did you see her or talk to her after she left McLean Hospital trying to wean herself off of whatever medication it was? Because you don't know what the medication was, right?
I believe it was Seroquel.
Seroquel.
Yep.
Did she tell you anything to the effect that when she got out of the hospital that she felt as though this was a step in the right direction? Did she seem as though she was trying to be positive about her life?
Yes.
And tell us about that, because up until this point you had observed her decompensating and having these symptoms and suicidal ideation and depression and feeling nothing and scary. When she got out of McLean, what did she appear to you and what did she say to you?
I believe she said she felt that was a good plan and that she was starting to feel better.
So was your sister, in your opinion, granted she's your sister and you're biased, obviously, but was she a complainer?
No.
And obviously she didn't share with you in detail her doctors and medicines and things of that nature. Is that fair?
No.
But you were aware of the struggles and the hurt that she was going through?
Yes.
And then through the month of January, did you have occasion to see her, or were you, because you still live in different states?
Yes. Yes, I did have an occasion to see her in January.
When?
We went to Cora's birthday party.
And that was at the trampoline park?
Yes.
How did she appear at that?
I think she looked like she was going through the motions of putting together a birthday party for her daughter, but she looked tired. She looked like she was still struggling.
So there was a difference in your observation of what you had known your sister to have as a personality?
Yes.
And then, of course, the horrible day, were you aware, or did somebody call you and tell you that the children had been killed?
Yes.
One of them still survived and ultimately passed?
Yes.
And do you recall who told you that?
Yes.
Who was that?
My mother.
And as a result of getting the call from your mother, what did you do?
I jumped in the car, packed a bag, and I sped up to South Shore Hospital, which is where I was told she was.
Did you see her in South Shore Hospital?
No.
Did you know that she was then transferred to another hospital after South Shore?
Yes.
And what hospital was that?
I believe it was Brigham and Women's.
And were you able to visit her in Brigham and Women's?
Yes.
And did it take some time before they would allow you to visit with her?
Yes.
How long, if you know?
I think it was approximately 2 weeks.
Okay. And then you were able to see her pretty much on a regular basis?
Yes.
And where does your mother and father live?
In Connecticut.
And are you close to them?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury, from the time of this incident in January 24th of 2023 up until now, 2026, where has your mother and father been living?
My parents have been spending the majority of their time up here in Massachusetts.
Why?
So that they could visit Lindsay as much as possible.
Almost on a daily basis?
Yes.
Was that in a bed and breakfast or a bed and bath, or was it a hotel, or where were they staying?
They've been living out of hotels.
Thank you, that's all. You can inquire.
Como.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Now, when Lindsay was at McLean Hospital and she was discharged, did she tell you that she asked to be discharged early to go to Cora's birthday party?
I can't recall.
And do you recall speaking to the police on January 25th, just a day after this all happened back in 2023?
Yes.
And do you recall telling them that you saw Lindsay 2 weeks prior to the 24th, roughly around the birthday party time, and that she seemed okay?
Yes.
Do you recall telling the police that you spoke to her in phone calls many times after she was discharged to McLean, and that her tone of voice in those calls seemed better?
I did not speak to her on the phone. Most of our communication was via text.
So you don't recall saying that to the police, that the tone of Lindsay's voice in our phone conversations was better the last couple weeks since she had been released from the hospital?
I believe when I said that, I meant her tone via her text messages.
And so her tone in her text messages was better?
A bit.
And do you recall telling police that you spoke to Lindsay on Thursday, January 19th, 2023, and she seemed okay?
Yes.
And that was a phone call, correct?
That was text message.
Text message, okay.
Yes.
So when you were saying spoke to the police, you were referring to text messages?
Correct.
And so in that text message, she seemed fine?
She seemed okay.
So she had just been released from McLean Hospital at the beginning of January, and all of your communications after the birthday party were text messages, is that correct?
I think the date's wrong.
I believe so, yes.
And just so we make sure we have the date correct, after she was discharged from McLean in January of 2023, up until January 24th, 2023, all of your communications were via text.
Yes.
Did you visit her at her home that month?
No.
You didn't reach out or call her at all, correct?
I reached out and called, yes. I did not visit her at her home, no.
When you called, did she respond? Did she answer the phone?
I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I can't recall whether I made a phone call. I can recall the majority of our communication between January 1st and January 24th was via text message.
Okay, so there could have been some phone calls.
I cannot recall any phone calls.
You are a licensed social worker, correct?
Correct.
And you're a mandated reporter, correct?
Yes.
And at any point in time between January 1st, 2023 and January 24th, 2023, did you have enough concern about the safety of the kids or the safety of your sister to file a report as a mandated reporter?
No.
Thank you.
Ms. Reagan?
Oh, yeah, Judge, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You may step down.
I would call Paula Musgrove, please.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to remind you, like I remind everybody else, just speak into the microphone if you can keep your voice up, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Afternoon. Tell us your name and spell your name, please.
My name is Paula Musgrove, Paula Musgrove.
And Mrs. Musgrove, fair to say that you are Lindsay's mother,
Yes, I am Lindsay's mother.
and your husband is here as well in the blue shirt, correct?
Yes.
We've been here for every day for the trial. Is that correct?
Yes.
Just have a few questions for you. Obviously, you tell us about Lindsay when she was a kid. Was she a good kid, good student, that type of thing?
She was a very good kid and an excellent student. Very excellent student all through school, through high school, college. Yes, excellent.
Ever been in trouble, law enforcement or schools or discipline or anything?
No.
Were you aware of her husband, Pat?
Yes.
And obviously, you knew when they got married, when they were dating and things of that
Yes.
nature, right? went to the wedding, obviously.
Yes.
Fair to say that you were close to your daughter and Pat,
Yes.
and you knew, obviously, the grandchildren?
Yes.
Tell the jury how you interacted and felt about your grandchildren.
I loved my grandchildren with all my heart. And you never know what it's like to love a grandchild until you become a grandmother. And it was the most beautiful thing. I love them with all my heart.
Now, did you have occasion to see how Lindsay reacted and treated her kids as a mother?
Yes.
And granted that you're her mother, so you're obviously biased, tell the jury what observations you made of Lindsay as a mother through the years after Cora was born, and then Dawson, and then, of course, baby Callan.
Lindsay was a very loving mother. She was dedicated to her children. She was a fun mother. She was always doing things for her kids. She always wanted to be a mother, have many children, and I felt it was the best thing that ever happened to her. And she would do anything for her children. She was just a loving mother.
Now, in 2022, Callan was born, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you stay in touch with Lindsay and Pat during that period of time, the spring into the summer of 2022?
Yes.
And how often would you see them or talk to them, or what would you do? You go to cookouts, or would you have parties, or how would you socialize?
Myself and my husband would travel from Connecticut to Duxbury at least 2 or 3 times a month, as well as them coming to Connecticut to visit us.
And would you agree that in the summer, for example, of 2022, that Lindsay and Pat were active with the kids and were pretty happy?
Very happy, yes.
Did you observe in the summer of 22 any changes at that point in her personality and the way she was acting with her friends in society?
In the summer, no.
And they were having a fairly good summer.
Yes.
Did you notice at some point a change in Lindsay's demeanor?
Yes.
Tell the jury when that was.
It was sometime probably around the 2nd week of October.
What happened that you noticed?
I noticed that she had become very anxious. She told me she was anxious about going back to work because Callan was having trouble taking a bottle and she didn't feel right about leaving him.
And as a result of that, did she tell you that she was going to put off going back to work?
Yes, she told me she was applying for an extension.
Now, did you know at that point that she was going through any issues involving depression or anxiety or having any suicidal ideation or anything like that?
At that point, no.
At what point, if any, did you become aware that your daughter was suffering from this symptomology?
In late October.
And how did that come about?
She sent me a text message.
And do you recall when that was?
Yes, that was on October 20th.
Now, Your Honor, the government has introduced into evidence the entire of the phone dumps, if you will, and I think they put it on a disc, and it's probably thousands of pages, but I do have the text thread that deals with that time frame in October. I'd like to offer that so that it's apparent what I'm referring to rather than having to search through thousands of pages of a disc.
No objection.
Okay. They may be admitted.
So approaching, let me offer this thing. Now, the text message that you're referring to, would that be on October 20th of 2022?
Yes,
And do you have that on your phone right now?
I do.
Can you just pull that up for us?
I can. Just give me a moment. Okay, I have it.
Counselor, do you have a copy maybe that she could look at?
Oh, I have a copy.
Yeah, that might be easier for the witness.
So I'm going to approach you with this board and ask if this is a copy of the text that you're referring to.
Yes, it is.
Would you read that for the jury?
Mom, will you please come up and stay with me for a bit? I'm really sick. Something is wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day. I started taking the medicine my doctor prescribed for anxiety, and I think it's made things worse. It's just really scary, and I don't want to be alone.
You want to write off this?
Objection. It's already in evidence.
What do we mark it for identification? Is that text within the?
I'd rather have it in the board.
Well, I know you would, but we already have the.
They want a little training. Can I just talk to the board
No, we're going to mark that for identification. The text that is been referred and read to is within Exhibit 276, which was just off.
I'm sorry, which is what?
I think it was within Exhibit 276, which was within that thread that you just offered.
Okay, so I will then, that would be 276, so that will be over here. As a result of receiving that text, did you then come up to?
Hold on a second.
Exhibit W for identification.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So as a result of that, did you come up to Duxbury?
Yes, same day.
And tell us about that. What happened that day at the end of October?
Lindsay had been, I believe she went to the emergency room that day, and she had come home. She was feeling a bit better. She told me that she couldn't sleep. She was very anxious, and she was afraid.
And how long did you stay with her?
At that point?
Yes.
I believe at that point I stayed for about a week.
And was your husband with you?
He came later. He didn't come directly with me then because he was still working, so he came later.
I never asked. What did you do for work?
I worked for Weight Watchers.
And you're retired?
Yes.
How about your husband? Is he working now?
He recently retired.
And what was the nature of his work?
He was in photography.
What kind of photography?
School picture photography.
For yearbooks and things like that?
Yeah, and school pictures, and you had your kids' pictures taken.
And he just recently retired?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that during the month of October into November, into the holidays in December, that you and your husband would stay with Lindsay and the kids?
Yes. I stayed more than my husband because he needed to go back home to work.
Sure. While you were staying with Lindsay, can you tell us your opinion as to her condition? Was it decompensating? Was she getting better as time went on through November and December into the holidays?
Through November into December, it was not getting better into the holidays.
And you knew she was on medication at that point?
Yes.
You knew she was seeing doctors at that point?
Yes.
So tell us, is there an incident that came to your mind that you recall that occurred on one evening that indicated to you how seriously she was suffering?
There were many. One particular evening that was disturbing to me was that, she was afraid. She was afraid to be alone. And she actually asked if she could sleep with me.
When was that?
That was late November, early December.
And did she indeed sleep with you on that occasion?
She did.
Continuing on through the holidays, did you guys get together for the holidays, Christmas or Thanksgiving, if you recall?
Yes. I was down there probably most of December through Christmas Eve, and then I left on Christmas Eve to come home to see my other daughter and her family, and then Lindsay actually came to my house later the day on Christmas Day.
Was she with Pat?
Yes.
Okay, and the kids?
Yes.
During that period, of time did you make further observation as time went into January? Oh, back it up. At some point, she voluntarily went into McLean Hospital?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I was there.
What do you mean you were there?
I was at Lindsay's house staying with them.
You take care of the kids?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that Pat's parents, mom and dad, also stepped up, taking care of the kids, helping out during this period of time?
They were there, I guess, when we weren't there. I didn't really see them, but.
Right, because you guys would be different time frames.
Right.
But you all were pulling together as a family, is that
Right.
correct? January, leading up to January 24th, do you recall, and can you tell the jurors what, if any, observations you made of Lindsay and her condition?
Lindsay had lost a lot of weight. She had become, during this whole time, paranoid about different things that really she shouldn't have, really weren't logical to become paranoid about. She would mention that this wasn't her mind. She would say to me, this isn't me. I've never been like this before. And I would agree because she wasn't. She was attempting to go through the motions of her day, take care of the kids as best she could. She didn't want to drive. So at times when Pat didn't go pick the kids up at school, I would drive Lindsay to pick the kids up at school because she was afraid to drive.
Did she express to you concern that in this time frame that people at the school, teachers and other people would be able to know what she was thinking and would think that she wasn't a good mother because she was sick?
Yes. She said, the school knows something's going on because I'm not driving my car. They see that I'm not driving my car to pick the kids up.
Do you recall the end of January that she made a statement to you about the medication, in her opinion, what it was doing to her mind?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said that she couldn't remember anything. The medication was pretty much just destroying her mind, and it wasn't her. She said, this isn't me. I just want to feel better and enjoy my kids again.
Now, I know that this is difficult. In December of 2022, do you recall a time that you were in the kitchen with Lindsay and Patrick and she made a statement about her state of mind to her husband, Pat, and you were there?
Yes.
I know it's difficult. Just tell us what you remember.
I remember her being very nervous. I remember her saying, I just have to tell you guys something. And then she told us.
What did she tell you?
She told us that she had thoughts of harming the children.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we take the afternoon recess at this time? We'll come back for cross-examination. All right. So, ma'am, you can step down.
Thank you.
All right. So, members of the jury, we're going to take the break at this time. We expect to have you back about 2 o'clock. Okay?
All rise, please. Jurors exiting.
All right. Counsel, can I see you just for a second, just kind of time-wise?